Let's face it, unless you hit the lottery or a rich relative remembers you in their will, you're going to have to work for most of your adult life. So it only makes sense that you do something you enjoy. But with all the different occupations out there, how do you determine which career is right for you? Welcome to the GIST Video GOE, a 15-part video series designed to guide people like yourself to a rewarding and satisfying career. Whether you're a first-time job seeker, someone who's been out of the workforce for a while, or even somebody who's currently employed but looking to do something else, career exploration and planning can help direct you toward a rewarding and successful life. This series is based on the 12 occupational interest areas defined by the U.S. Department of Labor. In this program, we'll explore careers with plants and animals. People who work in this area have an interest in activities related to plants and animals. This interest can be satisfied by working in farming, forestry, fishing, and related fields. Some occupations include farming, animal keeping or training, landscape work, greenhouse work, being a superintendent of a golf course, forestry work. The list goes on and on. Careers with plants and animals are divided into 4 fields made up of hundreds of occupations. The fields are managerial work, plants and animals, general supervision, plants and animals, animal training and service, and elemental work, plants and animals. You'll hear from people who work in these fields. You'll discover how they chose their careers, what skills are needed to do their job, what they like and don't like. Get career advice and other important information. Before we begin our interviews, here's a few things to keep in mind while watching this program. Think about the kind of work you want to do. Consider the skills and abilities you'll need to perform this work. Do you know if you would like or could learn to do this kind of work? How can you prepare for and enter this kind of work? Finally, what else should you consider about these jobs?
Wholesale plant producers. We produce for garden centers, fundraising organizations, and floor shops. And most of this is resold so that we don't deal with the public. We deal only with retail people. Well, I was kind of born into it. I started working for my father the summer of 1939, and I learned from disliking it as a child, I learned to love it as an older person, and I really don't know what else I would do. Well, you have to be kind of a jack of all trades. We do all our own maintenance here. Then you have to have the knowledge of the business, the production end and sales and marketing. And while it's kind of hidden, you have to have more skills than really is apparent. The marketing and sales are very important. It doesn't matter how good you produce. If you haven't got a market, why then you're in trouble. Marketing is just a simple adage, finding out what people want and then producing it. And that's what we try to do. If not educational in institutional education in universities, you at least have to have experience, because as I say, I started 55 years ago, and I'm still learning. So I think you have to be willing to learn, and you have to be you have to start out with certain skills also if you're going to be in business yourself. If you're going to work for someone, have them teach you. Oh, pretty much everything. There's a lot of satisfaction in starting a plant from either a small cutting or a seedling and finishing it and selling it as a finished product that you hope is beautiful to somebody. I don't dislike very much. Sometimes I'm not an extremely patient person when it comes to people, and sometimes I get discouraged with the way people are. Well, a typical work day would be getting on the job, looking the plant material over, making sure it doesn't need making sure what it needs, whether it needs water or fertilizing or trimming or potting or whatever. You have to analyze what you're going to do each day, pretty much. And this comes through the skills thing I was talking about. Well, you'll have to like what you do. I would say maybe love what you do. And then be willing to work very hard. This is hard work. I don't think you can be successful in this business on a 40-hour week. It requires 60, maybe 80, certain times of the year. There are times of the year when you can relax a little, but it's a highly hour-oriented type of business. You have to put a lot of time in because you just can't get everything done if you don't. Everyone, I think, can be successful if you're willing to work at it. And I think the best part of this business is that you can be a small businessman and still be very competitive with large producing people, probably more competitive even. You might be able to do things better and quicker and more cost efficient than large organizations. I think there's an opportunity for anyone that wants to make the effort.
I'm an interpretive specialist, and basically what I do right now is I run our new exploration center here at the Indianapolis Zoo. And besides that, when it's slower, like in the winter months, I also teach a lot of classes to school groups. Well, I started out at the Indianapolis Zoo in the marine mammal department, and I worked with the marine mammals for about 3 years, and during that time I also taught some classes for education. And then I decided I wanted to try to go more towards education. So when there was a position open, I applied for it. You have to have good observation skills because there's lots of animals here in the Exploration Center that I take care of every day, and you're the first one that's going to see any change in them. If there's anything wrong, if they're stressed out, if they're sick, if they're acting abnormally at all. You have to have good interpersonal skills because here at the Exploration Center we have groups coming in every hour from 10 till 4. And you're like the facilitator of the room, so you have to deal with the people, answer their questions. You know, you hope that they have a very good time and you educate them in the process. Well, I do have a 4-year degree in biology. I would say it's probably best to have a college degree, but it's not totally necessary. There's lots of good people that come in that've had a lot of experience just working with animals in the animal care sector. We do have quite a few people that come from an education background. A lot of times you just get started at the low levels and work your way up. You know, you start as an intern, a seasonal, and just move your way up. And whether you have a degree or not, you can do a good job. But I'd say it's easier to get a job if you do have a 4-year degree in either a life science or in the department I work, an education degree. Well, I love working with the animals. When I worked with marine mammals, I only worked with 5 species of animals. In this room, there are about 20 to 30 species of animals, so it's been a real learning experience, working with insects, reptiles, birds, etc. It's also fun, people coming in, you know, they're very curious and they're so interested in animals, and it's really fun to share what you know about them with everybody coming in. And when I teach school groups, they're just so fun. You know, they're just, especially elementary kids, are just so open to new things and to try to hold a snake and things like that, hold a giant cockroach, that they're really fun because you can tell you're really getting through to them very quickly. They really like it. Um, Actually, I'm not for sure if there's anything I dislike. Sometimes there's not enough time to do everything that you'd like to do would probably be the only disadvantage. We work 5 days a week unless there would be some problem and you need to come in on other days. If you were short-staffed or if there was an animal problem, sometimes animals do get sick, and of course they need to be fed around the clock or just checked on even, to make sure they're okay. So there would be some longer hours. You do get short-staffed at times. People quit, people are sick, things like that. But basically it's a 5-day-a-week job, 8 hours a day. I usually work 8 to 5. I come in the morning, and for about the first 2 hours I'll just do animal care. Feeding, cleaning, checking to make sure everybody's okay. Just setting up, getting this room ready for everybody to come in, the computers set up, etc. Then starting at 10 o'clock in the summer, we'll have people coming in, different groups. We allow 35 maximum at a time, and that will go on all day. And we close at 4, and then 4 to 5 I get everybody ready for the night. Some animals go to a different area. They have their exhibit tank, and then they have like a holding tank that will put them in at night. We'll clean those out, do extra things that need to be done, and just turn everything off. In this field, I would very much recommend doing internships. I did an internship into marine mammals, and we have lots of interns coming in right now in education, and it's just your best opportunity to see if you're going to like a job no matter what it is, because you actually do the day-to-day routine, and sometimes it's not what you expect it to be. So you get a really first-hand look at whether you're going to like the job or not, if education's for you, if animal care's for you, all kinds of things like that. I would recommend internships or even shadowing experience where you come even just for a day. Anything you can do to see if it's for you. Education is becoming a really big thing with zoos. Besides just being in collections and taking care of the animals like most of the keepers do, education is probably one of the fastest growing areas of zoos. We have more than ever school groups coming in, just tons of them coming in actually for classes, not just coming to walk around the zoo, but they're coming in to learn a little bit about the animals before maybe they go into the zoo. So they're getting an advanced education there. This room, of course, is our new exploration center. A lot of zoos are doing this. There's different science centers opening up everywhere, very interactive, letting people come in, do a lot of hands-on things. We find that they're learning more. And the zoos are becoming very much more educational. Instead of, the old, just look at the animals, learn a little bit about them, come in and we're going to teach you a little bit more about them. We're really pushing the education and conservation aspect of zoos more than they have been in the past.
It could depend on where you're working, but I'm basically a marine mammal keeper, and I take care of the marine mammals here, the dolphins and the sea lions and the polar bears. I started out volunteer work up at Shedd Aquarium in Chicago, doing grunt work 2-3 days a week. You need to be able to be patient and read the animals really well, because basically your job is to make sure that the animals are happy and healthy, and to look for little oddities of the animals, because that's the only way to tell the health of the animals. Marine mammals are very hard to tell if they're healthy or not. So the easiest way to detect that is through their behavior. Okay. You don't have to have special education. Myself, I went to school for aviation. But most people that are in this field went to school for psychology, biology, or a zoology degree. Something with an animal background. The animals. The pay is low because it is a very low-paying field. So the reward is all working with the animals. It could be a 5-day work week, but most often than not, you're working overtime, extra hours. An ideal work day would be come in, sort the fish, feed the animals, do the shows, clean, go home. That almost never happens. There's always something thrown in the day that will mess everything up. Most people that are in the curator, director of training, head trainer positions have been around for 10, 12, 14 years. So it takes an awful lot of time to get up to a position of authority.
Okay, I'm a golf course superintendent. And what that entails is I am basically in charge of the grounds here, the staff. I hire staff to take care of the golf course. Yeah, I did. In fact, I think there's a lot of people out there that don't really know what they want to do right when they get out of high school, and I was one of those. And I waited a couple of years, and I've always had an interest in golf, and I basically talked to some people and kind of did some research on it, and decided that being involved in golf in some way would be something that I would enjoy, and so I just kind of did my research, and there's many schools out there now that offer training in this field. Some are degrees, some are certificate programs, and they range anywhere from 8 months to 4-year degrees. So there's a lot out there as far as training goes. Well, this tends to be, as a golf course superintendent, it tends to be a physical type of job in a way. There's a lot of physical work to be done. Obviously, when you become a superintendent, your duties kind of change. You're doing more of supervising, management type of duties, but I would say it's a pretty physical job. A college degree is not required, I wouldn't say, but it certainly is a plus. I think there's no question that a school cannot teach you what you can learn in the field, and the schooling or seminars or training of some sort gives you a good background, but actually doing the work itself, is about the best thing you can do. This job is really more than one job. To me, it's like 4 jobs rolled into one. You've got, you're in a management position, so you're a manager, you're a scientist to a certain degree, you're an agronomist, and then probably the part that I enjoy the most is the public relations end of that. And that becomes very important in this business. Communication with not only your employees, but your members of your club, the board of directors, and communicating to them the things that that need to be done, and that way everybody has a good understanding of what you're trying to do. So I think that's what I enjoy about the most, is the fact that it's something different every day, and it's not just going and doing the same thing. I mean, as a superintendent, you wear more than one hat, and I think that's what I like the most about it. I'm not really, I don't particularly like getting up at 5 o'clock every morning, but I guess I've done this for quite a few years now, and that's something that you get used to. I think probably what I like the least about it is the fact of the unpredictability. Obviously, this job is very weather dependent, and weather, as you know, is something that nobody has any control over, and that makes for several different situations. Obviously, if it's been raining, it's too wet, you can't mow. But that's probably the part I like the least about it, is just the lack of control over the weather. I would say my typical day, I get up about 4:30 in the morning. I come to the golf course at about 5. During that time, I think about what I want to accomplish that day, and what that really entails is assigning jobs to my employees. And basically once we get through the morning hours, that's our busiest time. That's when we go out and we try to get ahead of the golfers. And once the morning time is done, then we are able to go out and do some other things that we normally wouldn't be doing, any other time. And so, a typical day really starts off real early. And to me, though, there's there's no better place to be when the sun's coming up than on a golf course. My advice to someone wanting to get into this field, whether it be, a golf course superintendent or landscaping or something like that, is you've definitely got to have a desire to work in the outdoors, and I think that you really have to be very attuned to the environment, trying to do things that are safe yet effective, and it's a lot of hard work to get to a level that I'm at now. I mean, it's taken me a few years, but it all pays off. I wake up every morning looking forward to come to work, and that, to me, is probably the most important thing that I've got going. So.
We feel that this video and series is a useful tool in helping you determine a career path. But don't stop here. Career exploration involves more than watching a video presentation. Career exploration is a process that should be taken seriously. Here are a few tips to help you along the way. Think about the career you want. What does it take to do this work? What knowledge and skills do you need? Are you able to do the work now? If not, can you learn to do it through an educational or training program? If you're working with a career counselor, ask them to help you. See if there is some type of assessment device you can take to help you with your decision. If you're on your own, go to the local library or bookstore and ask for materials related to certain fields. Read different books. Some titles of interest would be The Enhanced Guide for Occupational Exploration, the OOH, America's Top 300 Jobs, and other titles that contain information relating to careers and career options. Talk to people who work in jobs that are of interest to you. Ask them how they chose their careers, what they like and don't like, advancement opportunities, education and training needed, or anything else you want to know. Find out as much information as you can. It will benefit you in the long run.